I think are very important. The first is that, did you notice he tells the disciples to buy a sword? What's interesting is the sword he tells them to buy is the least militaristic of the words that can be used for sword in the New Testament. So it's interesting that they say, well, we have 2 swords, and he goes, that's enough. Which tells me he was not trying to, yes?
What's the scripture verse that wasn't
Oh,
recorded?
that was in our Luke reading. In the Luke, what was it, 22, right? So he's not trying to set up a military regime when he says, we got 2 swords there, he goes, that's enough. If you're gonna create an army and be taking things over by force, you want more than just 2 swords. So I think that these swords are more for utility purposes than they are for militaristic purposes.
Ears.
So that would be the first thing.
Ears, yeah. Ears and such.
Yeah, I mean, it's chopping off ears like Peter does. Yeah, I think they're more defensive than they are offensive. They were more like the word there is used. They're more of a utility knife. Yeah. So there's 2 words. One is macharios. That's the word used here. And there's another Greek word that's used. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. I just recently was looking at it. And it's a different, like this type of knife is more for like you'd fillet a fish. It's finally cutting things. So it's not really for fighting somebody else, which is why he says 2 is enough. If you're going to fight somebody else, 2, you want more than 2 swords. These are more the smaller and more compact and more utility approach. So I don't think Jesus is starting a militaristic movement here. Just like I said, he looks at them and says, they say, we got 2, and he goes, that's good enough. In other words, if you're outfitting an army, you're going to go, and we're going to need some machine guns, we're going to need some heavy artillery, and he doesn't say that. So
C4.
Yeah, we're going to need some C4, and we're going to need a lot more stuff. The second thing I'd have you notice that the context of this bread and wine that is normally taken to mean that Yeshua is talking about the Eucharist or communion is in the context of Passover. I asked a good Catholic friend of mine, is there ever a time where we have bread and wine in the Bible that it's not in the context of Passover? And the answer was no. When you have bread, other than one occasion, anybody want to tell me what the one occasion is where you have bread and wine and it's not the context of Passover? Anybody remember? Where?
Abraham?
No. Close. That's the wrong answer, but thanks for playing. When they go up to Mount Sinai, and they go to Mount Sinai, Moses and the elders have bread and wine together, which is interesting. So this is in Exodus 24. Okay, so the context for bread and wine is, especially the apostolic text, is Passover. And notice he's talking about the new covenant. Well, that brings up the question, where's the first time we have the new covenant? Jeremiah 31:31. But here's the key. Go with me to Jeremiah 31 for just a moment. Jeremiah 31. And we can pick up the reading in verse 31. This is Jeremiah 31:31. Because Yeshua says, this is the blood of the new covenant. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. And notice who the new covenant is named with. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers the day that I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them. So, says the Lord, but this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. I will put my Torah in their minds and will write it on their hearts. So it's not going away. I'm going to tattoo it, so to speak. I'm going to emblazon it. Then I will be their God, they shall be my people. No more shall every man teach his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least unto the greatest, says the Lord. And notice what he says here. You go back, see, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Okay? And then if you notice verse 33, but this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel. So what's going to happen? They're going to come back together. The issue is the return of the exiles. And really that's the exilic return of the people back to their land, back to the temple. This is the message that you're getting as we get to the Gospels. That the long night of the exile is coming to a conclusion in the advent of Yeshua the Messiah. That's what he's trying to say to them. Okay? So this is the apostolic text. So first thing is, take two swords. Second thing is, Passover is in the context, the blood of the new covenant is in the context of Passover. And then thirdly, that this new covenant is with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. So nobody has access to the new covenant unless they are connected to and adopted into Israel, the Israel of God. This is the massive disconnect for all of Christianity. So what have we done? We've distilled, we got rid of Passover, we took bread and wine, and then we pushed the Jews out. And said, well, so Christians have replaced Jews, Passover has been replaced with the Eucharist, and we started doing replacement theology wholesale. So the Messianic movement comes back to say, no, we are the Israel of God. We must observe Pesach because it's commanded, and that's the context. And we must understand that the new covenant is with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. And we must understand Yeshua in the context of the scriptures that he had and that preceded him. All right, now we'll go to our Isaiah text. Go with me to Isaiah chapter 40. That's a commentary on a little bit of commentary on the apostolic text. So we go to Isaiah 40. Isaiah 40 is fascinating because it sounds very much like the questions, the rapid fire questions you get sound very much like what you hear in Jonah. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Where were you when I created everything? I don't remember anybody being there to help me out. So Isaiah 40, I love what he says. When he talks about the idea that in verse 7, I think it was in verse 7, I want to make sure I'm correct. I like what he says, verse 8, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. So once the word of God has been spoken, it cannot be done away with. Once God has spoken, it cannot be abolished. You cannot do away with it. But the word of the Lord stands forever. So people say to me, how many of you have heard this? People will say, well, certain things in the New Testament have not been repeated. They've not been repeated. So if they've not been repeated in the New Testament, we don't have to do it. Well, that means that what he spoke before all of that is now done away with. That's how they're thinking. And it's like, well, once it's been said, it doesn't need to be restated in order for it to be the word of the Lord. It's already the word of the Lord. It's already spoken. So look what we have here. He says, here's the exile coming in. He says, he will feed, verse 11, his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs with his arms and carry them in his bosom, and gently lead those who are with young. So this is God bringing back his people from exile. And that's the message of, in a sense, the apostolic scriptures come to us to say the exile is coming to an end. It's because the king has arrived. And because the king has arrived, the exile of his people is coming to a conclusion. So Isaiah 40 is speaking of this exile. Okay? They've been cast out of their own land. He will bring them back. Okay? All right, so now that brings us to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Stay here for a while. In Deuteronomy chapter 5, we have a restating of the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments are so important that they are spoken 3 times in the Torah itself. Exodus chapter 20, Leviticus chapter 19, and Deuteronomy 5. So the fact that he states them 3 times will tell us that's pretty important stuff. I'm going to list these out for you and tell you these 3 times. They're very important. So let's pick up our reading in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1. Now Moses called all Israel and said to them, "Hear, O Israel, Shema Yisrael." Here we have a Shema, one of them. "Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your hearing today, that you may learn them and be careful to observe them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us." Now,
We were there.
some of your translations say he did not make it with us only. That's the idea. He did make it with us. They were there in Exodus, but he didn't make it with us with just them alone. Others were involved in this. That is the next generations. He says, "The Lord talked with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time, to declare to you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire. And you did not go up the mountain." So he said, there, now verse 6. So here's the prologue. "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." So why does God get to tell us what he wants us to do? He says for 2 reasons. A, I created you, and B, I redeemed you. So for that reason, I get to tell you what I would like for you to do in the kingdom. The new kingdom that's being started here, the new kingdom that's being addressed, I have the right to tell you what I would like for you to do because I redeemed you. And if that wasn't enough, I also created you. Look what he says here in verse 7. "You shall have no other gods before me." Okay, first thing out of this is no other gods. Okay, notice what our Isaiah text was talking about, and the prophets basically went off on Israel about was idolatry. It's ridiculous to have idols for this reason. At least the thing that you're making is ridiculous because it's made of earthly material that's going to fade and going to be destroyed. But let's make no mistake that behind these idols are real Elohim. So, in other words, sitting behind this idolatry, covertly incorporated into the idolatry, are what we would call demonic forces. So there's real strength and real power behind this, but the thing itself that you're bowing down to is made from by men with earthly material. That stuff's going to fade away. Did you notice in our Luke text? Did you notice in the Luke text? Yeshua speaks to Shimon, and he says, "Shimon, Shimon, Satan has desired to sift you." I've argued in the past that the reason he could say that Satan has desired to sift you is because Yeshua, this is key, Yeshua was in and is in the divine council. He sits amongst the Elohim and he knows what they are saying, knows what is going on. And so he says, "Peter, we had a divine council meeting, and your name came up. You're going to be tested, but you're going to be okay." So this tells us, this is Luke's whole way of letting us know that Yeshua is in this divine council, and that he is above and beyond anything we can even think. But he sits in this divine council amongst the other Elohim. And let me stop here and ask if there's any comments or questions. I've gone through a lot. So, yeah.
I was just wondering, if possible, how it says in the last day that we will be marked as those of God, were they similarly, they had to have been marked somehow, because they all, none of them ever admitted on their face, none of them ever, I mean, they were tortured,
Yeah.
everything, and they refused to, they just refused.
Yeah, from historical records, not the Gospels. So the question was, the apostles or disciples who became apostles, they were never, from what we have historical records, they all remained faithful, and most of them died as martyrs. Now that comes from outside the Bible material, where we have records of what they did and their lives past the time of Yeshua. It would seem that they, from the records we have, most of them died as martyrs and remained faithful to Yeshua. So that's.
I don't know, how we go with it. For me, I kind of see that as a sign that as we are in where we're supposed to be again, that we
Although it's interesting, yeah, it's interesting that it says in the parousia there will be a great falling away, which is fascinating. Bill, go ahead. Question coming.
Satan is also just accusing us daily. He was there in the case of Job.
Yes.
And in the case of Job, I beat not to death. To lift him out, you can't help yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, we can.
For Yeshua, and we would say, we each have a guardian angel that keeps him from doing that to us.
Yeah, there's no way that a believer can be attacked apart from the permission of God. Apart from God's permission, those who are His, according to what we see in Job and what we're seeing with Peter, God is aware of and able to, to control the evil one to say, okay, like you said, you can go this far, and then you can go this far. He shields us. Yeah. All right, go with me back to the 10. He says this: you shall not make for yourselves a carved image, verse 8, of any likeness that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, now look at this, who love me and keep my commandments. And notice that how love and keep His commandments are tied all the way through Deuteronomy. We're going to see that over and over again. Because remember what we said last week, love is not a term regarding emotions or feelings. Love is a choice to be obedient. It's a covenantal choice of obedience. So that's why he can team it with keep my commandments. It's this covenantal choice that you make to submit to the commandments of God. Yes?
That shows that there is not a break between both New Testament and Old Testament. But Yeshua himself said, if you love me, keep my commandments.
Absolutely. We mentioned that.
Make the commandments.
Right. Right. We mentioned that in 1 John 5. If you love me, keep my commandments. Here's the thing about the commandments. Let's mention this. I'll get both of you in just a second. Here's the thing we know about the commandments. It's like the Fram commercial they used to have in the mid 70s to early 80s, and it was this guy who said Fram had oil filters and air filters. And the guy said, you can bring your car in and have the oil changed every 4 months, have the air filter changed every 4 months. That'll be a little bit every 4 months. And you do that 3 times a year. And your car will run. He says, the nice thing is you can, or don't change your oil, don't change your air filter, and I'll have to repair your whole engine. And then the final line was, so you can pay me now, or you can pay me later.
Your choice.
You're going to pay. So when it comes to the commandments, those who say, well, I don't want to keep the commandments. Okay. You don't have to do them now. Well, you don't have to do them later. But here's the key. He'll write them on your heart. It will be intuitive. The obedience to the commandments will be part of our nature. It will be intuitive. The one and then the other. Go ahead, right here.
Referring to like obeying, when Jesus said, do my commandments. Some people think that is only what Jesus commanded,
Right.
but the passage where he said, who is my brother and my mother? For those who do the will of my
Father, right?
which is
That's a great line. Yeah. Who is my mother or brother? The one who does the will of my Father. See, that's what I've been saying. The massive disconnect is if we think that Yeshua is over here, Jesus is over here, and Yahweh is over here. If you have that bifurcation, then you're going to say, well, I'll do it.
Drop the microphone.
yeah, like drop like
It's downhill. Be careful the way your item or opinion downhill.
So bottom line is that when it comes to the commandments, the issue is, will you do it now or will you do it later? You're going to do it. But I think we have to get back to this understanding that both Yeshua and Yahweh
Are one.
one and the same, so that you can't separate them. This is why I have many of my Christian brothers and sisters who say, well, so yeah, I'll do the commandments that Yeshua said. Okay, so I said, that's great. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, he says, you have heard it said, you should not murder. I say you should not hate. Now, here's the key. Then they say this. Well, there you go. Jesus is ramping it up. He's even asking for more. No, he's not. Leviticus 19 says, you shall not, 18 says, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. It's right there in the Torah. I said, well, I'm going to show you just a minute the second one. He says, you've heard it said you shall not commit adultery. See, the Torah is just concerned with outward stuff. It's only wanting to control your outward actions. Yeshua says you can't even lust. It's what's in your head. Not just what you do, but what you think. Well, hold on. I'm going to show you here in just a minute. He says the last commandment is you shall not covet, which is something that goes on internally. So the Torah is concerned with the internal, not just the external. So this notion that, well, Jesus ramps it up. No, Jesus isn't ramping it up. Let's get this in our heads if we can. This is the top one. Nothing in the New Testament is new.
Amen.
There's nothing in the New Testament new. Everything that's said there you can find somewhere else in the Hebrew Scripture. If you'll know where to look. Hold on, Mark, come back to you. Go ahead. Sorry, you got to go.
It's all right, I know this fast.
Oh,
And I forgot.
okay. One right here, then I'll come back to you. Go ahead. Then I'll come- Say, okay.
You read the scripture in
Deuteronomy. Yes. Yes, it's in verse 9. At the end of verse 9, he says, excuse me, at the end of verse 10, to those who love me and keep my commandments. So it's at the end of verse 10. That's Deuteronomy 5. And the reason that's important is because if you go to 1 John, we did this last week, 1 John 5, listen to this. Whoever believes that Yeshua is the Messiah, he is born of God, and I would even say here the believes is, let me say it this way. Whoever gives allegiance to Yeshua that Yeshua is Messiah, is born of God, and everyone who loves him, who begot, also loves him who is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And his commandments are not burdensome. For whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our allegiance. So, it's this understanding that love and commandments cannot be separated. You cannot say, I love God, and then walk away from doing what he's asked us to do. One right here, and I'll come back to you.
Well, I was just going to piggyback on what you said. Yeah, I know if you love me, keep my commandments. You keep my commandments, you love me. So you just have to make sure that love thing is very strong, because, and then you won't even worry about keeping the commandments because you love God.
Absolutely. Great word.
I think the idea of people saying that if Jesus didn't say it doesn't apply anymore, that concept is, one, it's Matthew 23, where he says, do everything that the scribes tell you and sin mercy.
Yeah.
But also in John, at the very end of it, he talks about, the world could not contain the books that would have been written if we put down everything that Jesus said.
Absolutely.
The world
Yeah.
could not contain it, which
Yeah.
means he said a whole lot more.
He said a lot more.
Yeah.
He said a whole lot more than what we have recorded for us. Yeah, they couldn't record everything he said. I want to go to verse 12. Look at verse 12. Here is the sticking point. This is the major sticking point for all of Christianity, for the most part. Here it is. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. And he goes on, and he says this, you give time off to the stranger who is within your gates. Okay? And the reason is because God brought you out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. So he's talking about the Exodus. Okay? You go to Exodus 20, he's talking about creation. You do this to commemorate the fact that you were created by God. If I had a nickel for every Christ believer who said to me, Jesus came and changed the Sabbath to Sunday, I wouldn't be here because I would be on some island that I owned, with a yacht sitting on the deck on the port, and I'd leave my private island and I'd go to my huge yacht on all the money I made from people telling me, if I just got one nickel from every person who said to me, well, didn't you know that Jesus changed? That it went from Sabbath to Sunday. Now here I want to say this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with worshiping on Sunday. Or Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday.
Well, Friday?
Those are great days to worship. And I have worshiped on those days. I highly recommend worshiping God on every day.
Amen.
Amen.
And I have been and continue to go to many churches on Sunday. Absolutely.
Backslider.
I'll be in a church tomorrow. In fact, to show you guys, I'm going to 2 churches tomorrow.
Whoa!
Just to show you that that's right.
I try, but they don't.
So, my point is this. The day that God has asked us and commanded us to set aside, the one that he says, this is the one that I want,
We don't want to give up.
is from Friday night to Saturday night. You notice that the day in Hebraic thinking begins in the evening. So he says, this is the day that I've asked you to set aside. Many people get into this. Well, okay, what can I do, what can I not do? Let me suggest this. Let me suggest a simple way to understand this. If we do on the day the things that we see in the apostolic scriptures them doing on the Sabbath, we won't have to worry about what not to do. And what we see the precedent in the apostolic community is they gathered together, they read the scriptures, they prayed together, they ate together, and they spent the day together around the word of the Lord. Prayer, music, meal, worship. That's what they did, and they came together to do it. And they read, we know, the Psalms. They read from, we know that they had the multiple readings, probably a Torah reading. We know that they read from the Torah. It says in the Gospel that Yeshua got up to read from the prophet Isaiah. So they probably had a Torah, the hot Torah reading. And then maybe a Psalm. Okay, great. You spend your day doing that, then you have to sit back and go, now what do we not have to do? Just do the things. I don't have to worry about what I'm not doing, because you know what I do? I come here and we open the word of the Lord, we have the Torah, we sing, we worship together, we eat together. This is what you do. Right. And if you fill your day with that, you don't have to worry about the things you're not supposed to do. Yes.
The answer to that is to ask them, do you rest before you work or after you work?
Good point. Yeah, good point. So, All right, I want to get down to verse 17. I'm skipping down here. Look, verse 17. Here it is. He says, "You shall not murder." If your translation says you shall not kill, bad translation. It says you shall not murder. Okay. So the primary point of this particular commandment is premeditation. The willful taking of another person's life by premeditation, malice aforethought. You lay in wait and you take another person's life. Let me ask you this: what gives, from the scriptural position, what gives sanctity to life? What gives us sanctity of life?
What gives sanctity? God's breath.
Well, God's breath. Okay.
I guess I'm not sure.
I'm looking for a term that's used in Genesis a couple times. Go with me to Genesis chapter 9.
God saying that it was good.
Look at Genesis 9. He says this: "Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning," Genesis 9:5, "from the hand of every beast I will require it, and the hand of man. From the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of God." That's the key. Image of God. Created in the image of God. Who said it? Thank you. So, the reason we have capital punishment, as this lays out here in Genesis 9:6, is because we have image of God. And so, everyone, no matter who they are, is created in the image of God. Even if they're not acting like one created in the image of God, they still have dignity and worth because they are created in the image of God. Now go back with me to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Verse 19. Verse 19. They translated, so you have the word ganav, "You shall not steal." I want to get your take on this. So what are some ways that we steal? Go ahead. Ways we steal.
Our taxes.
Taxes. We'll start with that one. What are some other ways we steal? Time. We steal people's time. Ooh, that's a great one.
Oh yeah.
That's a great one. If you are taking up somebody else's time, knowing that you're not going to buy anything from them, yeah. You stole candy? Okay. Yeah, that's stealing. Yes.
Job site, not working your full 8 hours. You're taking
Yeah.
longer breaks.
Here's one for you. This is a great one. Not working the full time that you have, that the employer is paying you for. Or doing personal business on company time.
Yes.
Ooh. Or taking stuff from the company. You figure, well, it's a big company, they'll never miss it.
Not the
It's
point.
just this little stuff. I mean, and, they don't really care anyway, probably, so yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Pirating,
Pirating.
illegal.
Woo!
Bill.
Yeah, pirating.
You got from preaching to Bedlam now.
Yeah, this is a big one. People say, well, I've seen this before. People buy a CD or a movie, and then they allow somebody else who has not paid for the CD or movie to copy it for free. That's taking money out of somebody's pocket because it costs. And they actually put on the CD or DVD, do not copy this. This is copyrighted, you cannot copy it. How about this one? How about stealing somebody's intellectual property? Something that belongs to somebody else and not giving them the credit for it. It's plagiarism. It's called plagiarism. Another form of stealing, yes.
Grazing in the supermarket.
Oh yeah, I see this happen all the time. She mentions grazing in the supermarket.
It's a big ceremony.
I see people do this. I see people do this too, and they like to do it in the produce section. I saw a lady do this the other day in Fred Meyer. She walks by the grapes. It's just the grapes are on a cluster, obviously. She walks by, And she doesn't put the whole cluster in her basket and then take a few. She just takes a few grapes off the cluster, puts them in her mouth, and just walks on. Now, what if everybody does that?
They would have a grapes to sell.
How much grapes to sell? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, on the phone, doing personal business on the phone while you're being paid. Yeah.
To clarify the grocery thing, because I used to be in the grocery business, they don't mind if you have something, if you're looking to buy some,
Yeah.
but you're definitely just grabbing something, walking on, you're mooching.
Yeah. It's stealing. Yeah.
What if you do on the corners?
What if you do what?
What if you do it on the corners?
Doesn't matter. Not in somebody else's corner.
Little brother.
Yeah. Other forms of stealing. There's a lot. How about this one? How about this one? People don't think of this as stealing. But how about if you borrow something and don't return it when you say you will? You say, I'm going to borrow, you go to the neighbor's house, I'm going to borrow your whatever. And you borrow it, it's clearly a borrow. And you say, I'll bring it back tomorrow. And then it's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and your neighbor has to come over and say, hey, that stuff I loaned you, can I get that from you?
And they have to ask for
Then, haven't you stolen it? How about this one? Hold on, here's another one. I'll do this real quick. How about if you find something and it has distinguishing marks or it has things that tell you who it belongs to and you don't return it?
Exactly.
Because here's the thing, if you lose something and it has your name in it, what would you want done with it?
return to
You
you.
want it returned to you. So, well, I know here's the mantra: finders, keepers, losers, weepers. No. That's not Torah. Torah is finders, return what you found. Hold on, we'll go over here, one here. Yeah, go ahead.
What if you take something from somebody's house and then you wrap it up?
That's borrowing. Okay, hold on. Hold on. So, there have been times in the past, wait. There have been times in the past where I have borrowed from other people's homes things that didn't mean much to them. They really didn't even know that it was gone.
With or without permission?
Without permission.
So it was.
And what I did was, I've done this a couple times, I wrapped up what was theirs. Is theirs. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Have you heard that? So then I wrapped it up in a nice bow and a nice box, and I gave it back, and they were so happy to get their stuff back. It made them appreciate what they had. It was a service I was doing. Anyway, okay, go ahead. Oh, yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Employers expect more from their employees.
Ooh, that's a good one. Employers who work employees overtime without compensation.
Yes.
Wrong.
That's stealing.
Yep, it is.
It's the law of the land, but it's also they do a lot of that sometimes. Where they'll say, well, I need you to stay for 30 minutes or an hour over, and then they don't pay overtime.
Oh, no, they expect you here 15 minutes
They
early.
expect you to donate that time. Go ahead, right here.
I was thinking of people who go to the store and they'll purchase something, and then you have to be clothing to wear it, whoever they're going to.
They return it. Oh yeah, people who take clothes, use it, and then return it,
Yeah.
never with the intention of buying it.
And people do that with food too, like they'll say, like my husband's a beef cutter.
Right.
But he would get, they'd purchase meat, and then they'd be by like a month later or whatever. That meat was terrible, and they don't receive everything, but you don't get the truth.
Right.
You don't get the money back. And
Right.
people do that.
I've seen that. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you about a guy that I know. Come on. Go ahead.
Same job description. And it's bigger.
Oh. Oh, wow. Okay.
Similar.
Wow. Okay, let's mention that one. Let's mention that one. Let's mention that one.
Feminism the other way around.
So-
which is sometimes.
She said, and this one I've seen in numerous places. It's a great one. We have at times, many times still in this country, where two people at the same job, same qualifications, same job description, same education, everything is fairly equal, and the guy gets paid more than the woman. It happens. I know we don't think it does, but it does. And so if that happens, they're stealing. If they're not paying her, all things being equal, I know that's a big caveat, but if everything's equal, experience, education, everything's equal, and they're doing the same job, and she's getting paid $5 an hour, $10 an hour, he's getting paid $15, there's some stealing going on there. Hold on, I gotta get to some others. Jimmy.
Okay, the first I disagree with that.
Huh?
The first I disagree with that.
Why?
I think it's unfair. But
That's stealing though.
no, I don't think it is.
For the guy who worked 1 hour?
The guy went out, cut it vineyard, he went into town.
Yeah.
He hired people, he paid them all the same money. If you agree to a set price.
Yeah.
And they give you that price, you work.
Okay.
Is that fair?
It's
Absolutely not.
right. Okay, fine. We'll go with your term. We'll go with your term. It's unfair.
Yeah.
All right. And I think, frankly, yeah. But I think it's clearly, I'll put it this way. I'll say it this way. It's way outside the spirit of Torah.
Yeah, this is the problem with employers not, anybody not being able to disclose what they're paying.
Right.
It absolutely goes to in favor of the employer.
Sure. Employers don't want employees talking about what they make, because if they do that, they realize that there may be inequities. And people are saying, hold on, I do the same job as you do, the same amount of hours, the same education, the same experience, and we do the same job.
A person could have already had that job where I came from, because you went from year to year.
Correct.
They could have been there 5 years, and they could have just started. So no, they will not receive the same pay.
Right. That's why I said all things being equal. That was just a big caveat to this. Okay, so there was, hold on, Henry, go ahead.
How about what if you borrow something, returns it, is broken?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, I've had that happen. I had a person, one time, this goes back a number of ways, I loaned them a book. Somebody loaned me, if you borrow something from somebody, it seems to me, if you borrow something from somebody, and in the process of when you have it in your domain, and it breaks, then you owe the person to either a new one or a repair on the thing that broke.
Sons are void from that contract.
Huh?
Sons are void from that.
No, something like that. Janet and then
The core says, replace it, plus.
yes. Yes.
Jesus wanted when there's a speed limit of 35 miles an hour and you do 45 and 50, you're stealing
I don't think,
Well, I'm gonna have to think about that one. Hold on.
that's,
I don't know. I don't like that one.
yeah, I'm getting it. I'm happy with it.
How about the opposite? How about the speed limit is 60 and you're going 50?
Yeah, that guy has to do it. Okay,
That's
hold on.
saving time.
Over here, go ahead. Hold on. Quiet, please. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I see it all the time where people spend money they don't have, I'm talking $50,000 on credit card,
Ooh.
and then file bankruptcy and don't ever.
Oh, that's a great one. This is a great one right here. She mentions, we have chapter 7 and chapter 13. If you know you borrow on credit, and you know that you cannot pay it,
And you plan.
and you continue to buy on credit, with the idea that what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare bankruptcy, because I can legally do that. If you play that system,
You're premeditated.
that's a premeditated theft, because what you're saying is, I'm going to buy $30,000 worth of stuff, let's say, because my credit card, maybe my credit card lets me do $15,000. So I'm going to charge $15,000. Then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just say, oh, well, I can't pay that. And I'm going to file for bankruptcy. The kind that forgives everything. Well, it's going to mess up your credit. And you say, well, I'm just going to do that.
7 years now, and it's gone.
Yeah, so your credit's messed up. You know, just they'll have to forgive the debt. But you did that knowing you had no way of paying it. This could go, my point is this, when it says thou shalt not steal, there are thousands of ways. Here's another one. I've had this happen. How many of you resonate with this? I've had this happen. I've had two different things happen. I've gone to the bank and asked for withdrawal, and there's times when the bills stick together.
Yes.
And so I've had it happen where I got more money back than what I was asking for in the withdrawal. And I could say, well, her mistake.
She's fine.
It's her mistake because, she should have counted it out. And she should have been more careful. So, well, okay, fine. It's a he. It's a male fellow. That is one male fellows, yes. Oh, pick your gender, I don't care. Bottom line is that everybody gets to pick their gender. Everybody else is picking your gender, you get to pick yours. And minorities, you get to pick whatever gender you want. So the point is that you get $20 extra because they're counting it out. They just hand it to you. What is your response supposed to be if you give it back? I've also had this happen where I get too much change back. I did this one time. It was a young clerk, and I gave them a $10 bill, and in my change back, they gave me a 20. And I said to them, you see the price here? I said, the amount should have been this much on my change, and you've given me actually back a $20 bill. And they looked at me and went, oh, sorry. And I said, I even had this happen. I was in the mall, and I looked at an item, and I said, oh, I'd like to get this. So I think it was like $10. She charged me $5. So I look at this, and I said, hold on. You know what she said to me? I said, hold on, you're supposed to get $5 more from me. This is a $10 item. She said to me, are you crazy? You could have gotten away with this. You should have just, she says, the clerk says, you should have just walked away. And then she said to me, she goes, why would you tell me this? And I said, because that's what my God would want me to do. That's what I said to her. And she looked at me like I was on some foreign planet. Like I was on Mars. Because people, here's the key, people don't expect integrity or honesty. They don't even expect it anymore. So what I'm saying is the community of faith, just on this Torah principle alone, can massively stand out if we just say, you know what, when it comes to truth-telling, when it comes to honesty and integrity, we will be what God asks us to be. Even if the law of the land says you can get away with it. Even if the Constitution or the law says, well, it's okay. Just because the Constitution or the law says it's okay doesn't mean that the Spirit of God says it's okay. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead.
There's been a couple of different times that I've gone to Starbucks and I know how much the drink I order costs. And there's been a couple, I think at least twice I can think of, where I've gone and they've rung it and it's been 30 or 40 cents less than what it's supposed to be. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to be this amount. And they're like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, no, I want you to not jip yourself. This is what it's supposed to ring up.
Right. You know what it's supposed to ring up. And
right.
If they don't ring that up, then yeah, there's a couple of Jimmy right here.
My uncle was a cancer, and he had people come in all the time. I'm your Christian brother, they didn't preach the Christ. And they say, come on, you brother, I'm a Christian brother, you know your parking more than me too. And then they didn't pay the
Yeah.
Christian brother discount.
Right. If you don't pay somebody who does work for you, that's stealing.
Yes.
Okay? If somebody does work for you and you don't pay them, it's agreed upon payment and you don't pay them, then, but by the same token, here's another form of stealing on the flip side of that. Charging for things that don't need to be charged for.
Yeah.
I've seen mechanics, I've heard of mechanics who will, oh yeah, this is wrong, and this is wrong, this, it's all got to be done over. And the truth is that I had this happen. I put a new tire on a car for David and Danny. Brand new tire. I went to a tire company, had them take it to a tire company here in town. I wanted them to look at the tire, and they were going to put another tire on. This is from a company that does tires. So they know tires. The guy tells me, he says, well, this tire is really bad, so you need to replace it. And I said, hold on, it's a brand new tire. I just bought it. So I said, look at this. The tread is still legit. But he wanted to make a sale. So he was willing to tell me that this was not a good tire in order for me to buy one of his tires so that he could put that on. I said, nah, no. Talk to the manager. The point is that it works both ways. But you're correct. If you owe somebody money for work they've done for you, you should pay them when you said you would, yes.
Back to your first one where you're saying we need too much change, that happened too, and I handed her this and they needed to give me less, and she looked at it and I'm not closing, I'm not counting still. Wow. And my thought was, okay, so if you were closing the bill, you would have lost money and potentially be fired for that. Now you're taking that and letting someone else get paid for it.
Yes, you hear what she said? No. So she said that she was there was an issue with change, and she said you gave me too much change, you need to take this back. And the cashier said to her, not my problem, I'm not closing, so my till will be fine. I won't get blamed for it. This is how they think. You know, right here. Go
I
ahead.
was thinking of price gouging. If something happens and people take advantage of it, and they charge it.
Jack up the
And it's
prices.
happened in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I got to think about that. There is something to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, mine is, I'm a student and I've got like thousands of dollars in loans and, the only place that you can get a loan is through the federal government and they charge you a normal amount of interest. And so, charging,
That's
it's
legal.
like.
Yeah, technically that's legal. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
And
it's
you agree to
legal,
it.
Yeah, you agree to it, but it's,
They're making
yeah.
mistakes.
There's,
Yeah.
I
It's
just think that they know that you can't.
one and one. Go ahead, right here. Hold on. Okay. Jimmy again, go ahead.
Agreeing on the price,
Yes.
and then offering less than you agreed upon until they agree to take it, because it will cost more to go to court to get the amount they want than simply they'll lose more weight in court than they will in a robbery.
Yeah.
So a lot of I know a couple of wealthy people.
I have seen that happen where they're more willing to, because they know that if it gets into the court system, it's just going to take more money, so they're willing to take the loss
Oh, settle on
and settle out. So, but that's another form of stealing as well. Look at you guys. I'm going to tell you, here's another form of stealing. I did this for a while.
Oh,
For a while, my mom and dad didn't understand this. So my mom and dad, I don't know how many of you are like this, but my mom and dad were, you go to work, 8 o'clock, you get off at 5 o'clock. You punch in, punch out, you get 35 to 45 minutes for lunch, that's what you do. I went back up to Alaska, and so I decided I was going to work with a guy who was a private investigator. And he had jobs with about 5 or 6 different insurance companies. So our jobs were sometimes in the middle of the day, sometimes in the evening, sometimes in the morning, but we didn't keep regular hours in the sense of 8 to 5. But we were paid a retainer by these insurance companies to go out and look at people who were claiming that they were hurt at work for workman's compensation claims. So you'd be surprised at how many people said they were absolutely debilitated, could not ever move, were going to be incapacitated for the rest of their life, and the companies were about to make out big payments out to these individuals, and they were out water skiing, they were out mountain climbing, they were out doing all kinds of stuff, but they were supposed to be completely incapacitated.
Okay, now on the flip side of that.
Yeah.
This happened. He was injured.
Yeah.
They were people videotaping. We didn't know about
Yeah.
him. And they said he was in the tree. It was our son
Yeah,
that
okay.
was in the tree.
Yeah.
But that's on the flip
Yeah,
side. They
it can have, yeah, there
realized
can be
that-
mistakes, absolutely. It's not
Yes.
it's not a foolproof system.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's why you have to be extremely careful, and
yeah,
you have to be conscientious and honest.
yeah.
So it's one of those things that, here's another one. I saw this happen in the same business. People would get into auto accidents, and since they were an uninsured motorist, they would say that the person who was actually driving at the time was the insured motorist.
Look,
They would make sure before the police got there that they switched seats so that they could say that the person who was actually driving was the one who was insured, because they knew that the one actually driving was uninsured and they were in trouble. Yeah, go ahead.
So I know this might be a little bit of a stretch, but technology in general, there is way more capacity for example, just memory than is released into the network. And they release it a little bit at a time, so they can continue to create a lot of money for more stuff.
Yeah.
But what is researched out there is way beyond this.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I could go to other stories about this on the IT side. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
My son called up and it was a different price. Husband calls up, it was a different price. Yeah, I mean, that's just, yeah, that's.
And that's interesting. See, I think we should, that'd be fun to do sometime, because I've seen this done, is to say, just to have a woman call auto parts store and say, I'm looking for such and such a part. She says that what's happened is that she calls and it's one price, when her husband or son calls, it's a different price. It happens to be lower. So it's just interesting how, the price changed,
Yeah.
2 minutes of calls from each other.
And that's a fine by weights and measures.
And that's, yeah. Also, the Torah talks about this. Another form of stealing is basically selling somebody something, saying, I'm going to sell you a pound, and you're selling them 3/4 of a pound.
Oh, yes, you put your finger on the scale.
Yeah. How many of you seen the Norman Rockwell picture? The Norman Rockwell picture in the, we got to end with this one. The Norman Rockwell picture that's in the meat shop, and the butcher, the two people, the woman and the butcher are looking each other in the eye. And she's pushing up on the scale, and he's put his thumb pushing down. They're both trying to steal from each other and looking each other in the eye. It's a famous Rockwell painting, and it's like, wow, she's trying to get less, she's trying to pay less, and he's trying to have her pay more. And they're actually, because they're both trying to steal from each other, they're actually canceling each other out. Yeah.
I was at 2 different stores. One had a whole case of like Red Bulls, the large ones for this really good price. Went to buy like 10 of them, great price, and they're like, oh no, that's the wrong area. But it was obviously displayed, and it was like 4 times the price of what it was listed. And he kept arguing with me. I was like, well, that's what it says. So that could be a stealing in the sense of
But they
missing.
Well, no, that is because it's
They have
supposed to
to honor
But-
that.
Yeah, if they mislabel it,
be, they have to eat
they
it.
have to eat the cost if they mislabel it.
But on the other side, he argued where
Yeah.
there was another place where there was like Gatorade, not much different, and they told me it's wrong out. We looked at it, and the manager came up to me as I was going to the store. He goes, "Thank you so much for showing me that. Because if a food inspector came by, we get charged
Yes.
for 3 times like $10,000."
Yes.
Yeah.
So he
That's
actually appreciated me bringing
Nice.
that to the. So there's 2 different sides. One person gets mad at you because
Right.
you're pointing me out. The other person loved it. They
Yeah.
loved the correction.
Oh, I have seen in the commercial industry, I've seen so many ways that they're stealing. I worked for Fred Meyer Security for a while, and wow, there were hundreds and hundreds of ways that people try to steal. I mean, ingenious ways where people would try to steal. So, and what I'm, the bottom line is this. Here's the bottom line: thou shalt not steal. And when we as a people choose to live with honesty and with integrity in a culture where it's rampant to not be honest and have integrity, you'll stand out. They will not understand you because they steal, they cheat, and so it's like, well, okay, it must be okay. It's only wrong if you get caught is the mantra. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. No, it's wrong no matter what. Well, Jimmy, and then.
Throwing away perfectly good surplus, so that next month you don't need double.
Yes,
Say again?
he said throwing away perfectly good surplus so that you don't get deducted the next month. Government, I've seen this happen in the government multiple times.
Yeah.
Where if you don't throw it away,
If you don't use it.
they don't use it, then they won't give it to you the next month. So people learn to just throw good stuff away, which is not. Yes.
The fun thing about if you're in a situation where you get too much change when you return it, the fun part is watching the expression. It's almost worth it to pay extra just to see that.
Yeah.
And they go into shock.
So another situation, I had went to one of these places like Home Depot, and they were loading up. He loaded it. It was on him to count it right. It's his fault, not mine. I didn't even load it. And I gave him the receipt, told him it was 20. You know what I have to do? I got to drive back to Home Depot, show them that I had 20, but I got 21. And they, you know what, like I told you, they look at you like you're from Mars. Like, just keep the bag, mister. You know, I'm like, no, I'm returning the bag because I didn't pay for it. I did not pay for it. Huh?
Or just call them, give them payment over the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah,
it.
you save on gas stuff.
And you get extra back.